Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. You're down. Now, for those of y'all new to my page, in 1994 I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I ended up serving 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories, also some good insight on things related to prison, and I'm gonna share it with y'all today. If you happen to like this video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and most definitely be sure to hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. If you're new to my page, also, I rap. Do not get it twisted. The flow is nothing like Curtis Blow. I got a song called Never Gave Me Therapy on all major streaming sites. It's also up on YouTube, the video. I got a video up called Go From Here. Matter of fact, just scroll to my playlist, go down to gas stations, and you will find all my music there. You definitely gonna be surprised. Last thing I gotta say, this video right here is being sponsored by Veracity Exchange TV. He got a fire interview with Birdman's brother, Terrence Gangster Williams. So go check that out. I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's also a link in my community. Now, let's hop right up into this video. Now, this video right here, I always get a lot of comments in my comment section about people asking me what specifically is politicking in California prisons, or what does that mean, the California prison politics. And that word politics, actually, there's a lot of different words that fall under that umbrella. And basically what that is politics in California prisons is just dealing with the affairs or the issues of your collective, whether it's your race, whether it's the hood that you're running from, whether it's the car you pushing with. That's basically what politics is, being deeply involved in those type of issues, man. Like you guys already know, in California, the races are divided. Before, I've used the word segregated, but I think a better word is just divided. The whites are only in the cell with whites. The Hispanics are only in the cell with Hispanics, or people who run with the Hispanics, and so on and so forth. And so it's not like we don't talk to each other. We are cordial with each other. We interact, we work. Only thing, like I said, we don't engage in sports. We don't engage in eating together, stuff like that. We just don't function together. But yeah, we're permitted to talk, say what's up. See one of your buddies you may have knew from the street, say what's up, shake his hand or something like that. Just the interaction is extremely limited, And so when you being a politician, or you're involved in the California prison politics, it's definitely sometimes can be a dangerous, deadly game, and you definitely have to know how to use diplomacy. And everyone is not necessarily cut out for that, and everyone is really not up for the job. It takes a special individual who knows how to articulate his words right. You know how to say. You have to have the right demeanor when you're approaching somebody. You can't be too turned up tough when you're talking about issues that involve in other races, or issues that involve other cars that may have an issue or a problem with your car race, because of course your presentation is everything. If a person comes to you on some super tough stuff, then of course the individual that you're talking to, or excuse me, if you go to an individual on some super tough stuff, it's very unlikely he'll be receptive to what you're saying. So your demeanor, all that stuff has to be on point, man. Like I said, let me give y'all an example. Say you have a black dude get into it with another Hispanic, with a Hispanic convict. Now, how that works is you'll have someone who's representing the blacks or the collective go talk to somebody who's representing the Hispanics. And so they'll talk about the stuff, and maybe they'll come to decide the black dude was in the wrong. Maybe they'll decide the Hispanic dude was in the wrong. Maybe they'll decide, okay, both dudes had a little words, but it was no harm, no foul, and they leave it alone. But in California, one race is never allowed to put their hands on another race without definite it's going to be some repercussions, consequences. Most likely a riot is going to ensue behind that, because of course each race takes it as disrespectful if another race tries to do any type of physical retribution on a person for either disrespect, or sometimes it's perceived disrespect, drug debts, or what have you. Keep in mind, too, on a lot of these California prisons, especially these 4 and 3 yards, sometimes, especially when I came back to prison in 1996, when I came to prison, you may have 5 buildings on the yard. Each building may contain up to 200 or more people. So that's 1,000 people on that particular yard that you're on. So, now these 1,000 people, they're going to work, they're going to jobs, they're going to these trades, they're out on the yard. So that's a whole lot of, interactions and stuff like that. I've seen fights and stuff break out over a whole lot of stuff. It may be a person, a person and his homie, 3 homies walking on the track. You may have another individual of another race jogging on the track. He comes up behind him, track. That's what they yell, man. Some dudes expect people not to be walking on the track, but that's not necessarily logical, because where else are you going to walk? So, if a person doesn't get over fast enough or something like that, sometimes a issue can ensue. And sometimes, now that I think about it, it was really a lot of, at times, man, a lot of immature, childish stuff going on in California prisons. And to me, I used to call California prison the world's biggest playground. And what I meant by that is, a lot of the situations that broke out was extremely immature, but some people perceived a certain type of disrespect, and next thing you know, it's a standoff, it's a riot or a standoff or something like that happening. I've seen people have standoffs and get into it behind handball courts, behind telephones, benches. This person wants to sit at a certain bench and stuff. So, it's a lot, honestly, it's a whole lot, and now that I'm free and I look back on some of that stuff, it's honestly a blessing. It's honestly a blessing to have survived all that stuff, because all it takes is one hothead from any race to be on the yard, say something to the wrong individual in a certain type of way, and you have a melee ensuing, you have a riot kicking off, and these things get extremely, extremely dangerous. And I always try to keep it 100 on here. You have people from all different races. You have whites who don't like blacks. You have blacks who don't like whites. You have Hispanics who don't like blacks. You have blacks who don't like Hispanics. And so, not everybody in those perspective cars or races don't always dislike each other, but you have individuals sprinkled in each who, for whatever reasons or whatever experiences or incidents they have shared with another race, now hold some type of animosity. And like I said, all this stuff is, falls under, politicking, man, because you have some individuals who are extremely caught up in these type of stuff, and these type of things. And when I first got to prison, I didn't realize how deeply entrenched some of these individuals can be in these type of things, because this is how they're living, so I was taught, initially when I first got to prison, man, that there are certain lines and rules that shouldn't be crossed, and right is right and wrong is wrong. And a good leader is always, or a good person who's a representative or speaking for his respective people, car, individual, race, or whatever, man. It's always good to be fair and realize that, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if your homeboy is wrong, you have to not support him in situations where he's wrong, unless it gets physical before it can get resolved. And what I mean by that is, you have some dudes who are going to ride with their homie regardless of whether he was right or whether he was wrong, because of the animosity against the other individual who they're talking to and who they're dealing with. And the bad part about that is, those are characteristics of a bad leader, because now what you're doing is you are potentially jeopardizing the health, the life, the safety of everyone that you run with, everybody in your collective that's willing to back you, that's willing to ride with you, and especially when it involves and gets into the blacks, because, a lot of people know, if they've been following, California YouTube shows, that the blacks, we are extremely divided. We have a lot of different factions within the black convicts. You got up north, you got the up north brothers, San Francisco, Oakland, all those areas up in there. The 415s, the Kumis. Then you have also the Northern Cali Crip car. You don't have a lot of Crips in San Francisco and Oakland and stuff like that, but in other areas of Northern California, what's considered Northern California, Sacramento, just to name a city or two, you do have Crips and stuff. And so they, some of those guys that are from those northern parts, they're aligned with what's known as the NCC, Northern Cali Crip car. Then you got the Bloods down south, the Bloods and the Pyrus, then you also have the Crips. Now, within the Crips, there's also several different factions. You got the gangster car, you got the neighborhood car, you got the Hoovers, you've also got the Long Beach car, which consists of the Insanes, the 20s, other sets from the Long Beach side. Then you also have the Inland Empire, which is the car I was functioning with. The Inland Empire is 2 counties, Riverside County and San Bernardino County. And all the cities within those 2 counties comprise and make up what's known as the Inland Empire. So in any of these cars, you may have individuals who have just aligned themselves for the safety of numbers, but who may not necessarily like some of the individuals who they're dealing with, who they run with as a collective. And sometimes I've seen what's known as dirty politics happen, man. This dude may not like that dude for whatever. Like I said, there are certain infractions. Each car has, either a lot of times unwritten rules, but they're definitely made known to the people within that collective. And sometimes they're written rules and made known that, okay, these certain things won't be tolerated. I've seen several times where a person may violate some type of rule. He'll have another individual that runs with his collective who doesn't necessarily like him for whatever reason. And now, since he has violated a rule, the dude who doesn't like him, now he's saying, hey, okay, listen, this dude did this dude did that. But really, he has an ulterior motive, and he's trying to politic this dude into getting, physically removed from the yard, beat up, stabbed, whatever. It's always a lot of stuff that goes on, man, behind the scenes type stuff, And so it's definitely always a potential powder keg when you're involved in these politics, because like I said, if you don't know how to approach the next individual and talk in a way where he's going to be receptive to what you're saying, it can just make things go all bad right there. I was involved in a situation one time. I happened to be a porter in the building, which means I clean the building. I wipe down the tables. I may have sweep up the black side of the day room, clean the showers, things like that. I specifically remember at a time a CO came to me. Somebody had wrote their hood, they gang banged on the wall, basically. Hit it up is what we call. They, hit their hood up on the wall. The CO came to me and asked me, hey man, he said, go get some disinfectant or whatever and scrub all that stuff down. No, not happening. I immediately told him, hey, listen, man, you got me twisted. I am not to erase somebody's hood off the wall. I didn't put it up there. I'm not taking it down, because in the event I had took it down, somebody could have found it disrespectful. They could have felt that me taking their hood down was a diss to their hood. So now I'm gonna have to possibly deal with that. The CO is gonna be nowhere around when I have to go out there and do what I have to do. I may go out there and get attacked. I may have put myself in a position to get attacked. So of course, I immediately nip that in the bud and let him know, listen, I'm not supposed to do that, because like I said, at the end of the day, I would have to be the one to deal with that. And sometimes I had seen where either knowingly or unknowingly, COs would possibly try to do things that could also lead to some political issues going on the yard. So you definitely have to be aware of what you're doing in prison, man, because like I said, the politics can get extremely bad, and I think I mentioned a little earlier in this video where, and if not, because I made this video a time or two, I was making it and I got a phone call, so I can't remember if I said it or not. But like I said, you do have some homies who will support their homies regardless. And that's bad, because if your homie is wrong, man, it's better to deal with him than, like I said, potentially risk a giant riot. And then you have a lot of individuals. And it's been my experience in these riots and stuff that the person who everybody is coming to aid to help, he rarely even gets hurt. you have some other down or solid homie running to the aid is the one who, who ends up getting hurt. Because when a riot breaks off, it's people coming from everywhere, and so, you're getting blindsided, you're trying to stay on your feet. It's just like I say, it's extremely dangerous, man. And so that's basically what politicking is, being involved in those type of issues, man. When I first came to prison, they had what I call traditional gangbanging, which was basically Crips, Crips and Bloods. That's traditional gangbanging. Crips and Bloods, of course, were automatic rivals, especially back in the mid 90s when I came. Around that time, me, probably like a lot of other gang members, Crips and Bloods, I had never been into close proximity to Bloods, because when you out there, you gang banging, you're not hanging with the rivals. You're hanging in your hood, and the only time you really having any type of interaction with a rival, more than likely, when it's physical or it's an impromptu meeting, you guys bump into each other at the liquor store, at the mall or whatever, and then you guys get down and do what you do, So I say that to say that the Bloods didn't want to hear Crips saying cuz, and vice versa. Like if I'm talking to one of my homies, it wasn't cool or allowed or permittable for me to be talking to one of my homies in a neutral place, such as the chow hall or the weight pile, or places that was open basically to the convict public, I should say, and be like, hey, what's up, cuz? How you doing? Because a Blood may hear that, and he didn't want to hear that. So back then, that was considered, ear busting. And like I said, vice versa, man. It was okay for you to maybe to be in an area that was designated for the Crips to be over there cousin and with the Bloods, but it was just stuff like that. Those type of issues could lead to, fights, riots, and stuff like that. And then you may have a homeboy who he gonna ride with his homie, like, oh, forget that. We had a lot of what we would call super Crips or super Bloods, and those was just dudes who was extremely turned up or extra out when it came to their gang banging. Some of them was with it, some of them really wasn't. Some of them was really with it. They was really like that. But the bad part about having, a super Crip or a super Blood in your collective, a lot of those dudes don't know when to turn it down. Of course, they don't know how to talk. They have no diplomacy, and having them around sometimes led to issues because they was always in stuff. And so that's the thing that I was saying earlier, how sometimes you have to let your homie know, no, man, that you wrong. Even though we together, we homies, we definitely have to do time together in a respectable way, because I'm not just to do no time that's gonna cause you to have to get into it, and you shouldn't do the same for me. I'm going to have respect for you, man. I'm going to do my time like I'm supposed to do. Now, if we just happen to get into it because some dudes is wrong, okay, then, we going to do what we do. But, like I said, that's a bad trait of anyone who supports their homie regardless. No one is supposed to be bigger than the car. Everybody is supposed to have a certain, certain rules, whether it's written or, like I said, unwritten, that they must follow, man. And so that's just basically, that's what covers politics. A person getting into it, man, over his homie holding a debt, or, not handling business right, stuff like that, man. Anything that falls under those issues are basically what is known as prison politics, man. And so, once again, like I told y'all, man, this video has been sponsored by Veracity Exchange TV. I will leave a link in the description. Definitely be sure to go check out that video he did, the interview of Terrence Gangster Williams, who happens to be Birdman's brother. You already know what it is, man. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.